Hey, I'm really not on social media much. I try and keep my thoughts to myself and just stay out of all the political arguments and he say, she say, especially now with how everything is so heated and controversial with politics. Um, my issue is with both Democrats and Republicans. I've been on both sides of the spectrum, voted Democrat, voted Republican. But at the end of the day, through my eyes, what did I see that benefited me or my family or any of my friends or anyone around me? What did it benefit by voting for either party? And I can honestly say it really hasn't benefited me at all. You know, taxes are still the same. Crime is still the same. The living standards in certain communities are still the same. The infrastructure in African American communities are still the same. What has Biden done when he was vice president? What has he done since he's been in office for the decades that he's represented Delaware? He really didn't do anything. What has Trump done besides run around and say a slogan to make America great again? What did he do to make America great? What did Obama do to make America great? Obama was in office for 8 years, and what was done on his end that made lives better in African American communities? What financial gain did he bring to African American communities to lower the poverty level? What opportunities or doors did he open to help African Americans live a better life or get an education or some type of ability to be able to do more? I mean, not to sound funny or anything, the only two things that Obama provided was free phones and a health care plan. While it was in good intention, didn't succeed in the ways that he envisioned. And yes, everybody pushes that, the Obama plan did this and did that. But it really didn't work the way they thought it was going to work. To me, politicians just lie to get in office and have no substantial plan to do anything for anyone. But you have people out here who believe that they are doing things. And most of those people that believe they are doing things are the people that are already well off. And, who has an established career, who grew up and at no fault of their own. I mean, they were given the ability to succeed, and they were given a clear path to be able to get those opportunities. African Americans in most communities in the United States don't have access to those same things that other individuals have. So why not start there? how hard is it if you're a president of the United States to implement things that need to be implemented to see certain impoverished areas succeed? You don't have no banks in black neighborhoods. You don't have any good businesses in black neighborhoods that can increase job growth, excuse me. You don't have good schools in most areas in the African American neighborhoods to help kids get the proper education they need. I experienced that firsthand. You know, when my mom got divorced, she moved me to a predominantly white neighborhood, and the education that I seen in that neighborhood compared to the neighborhood I grew up in Philadelphia were completely different. Then my mom, when she got remarried when I was in 11th grade, I had to move back to Philadelphia and experience their education system for 12th grade. Now, everything they were learning in 12th grade, I had already learned in 9th and 10th grade in the school in Delaware County. That baffled me. How I go from one school where you were getting a great education, and then I go to another school and I have the second highest average in the class of graduates, and I'm sitting here learning stuff that I already learned. So now I'm losing out on what I was learning when I was in the other school. It should be equal all across the board for education. It should be equal all across the board for job opportunities. It should be equal all across the board for living situations. Yeah, black people don't ask for things to be handed to them, but it seems that's all that's given to them in the black community as an answer is welfare. You know that's the answer for all politicians. It's, oh, we're not going to do anything to make them learn and be able to be more self-dependent. We're just going to give them an access card, and we'll even throw a little bit of cash on there. We'll imprison African American men at an alarming rate, and that's okay. Women, ladies, it's fine. Don't worry about it, because we have your back. We'll give you this access card. We'll give you some cash on there too. We'll even, we'll slide in a little bit of cash so you don't even have to worry about that man that's missing in your life. And we'll even provide you with a house that you can live in, for pennies on the dollar. And you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about that. You don't need to worry about, going out and getting an education and bettering yourself and preparing yourself for the job market and getting a career. You could just have a career and depending on government funds. And that's with all presidents that's in office. That's even in your local politicians, your mayors, your state representatives, your senators, everything. What are they doing to make this country better? They're not doing anything. All this arguing and bickering and going back and forth isn't benefiting no one. It's not doing anything. It's not solving no problems. And that's what I don't get. I don't get, you have all these conspiracy theories going up and everybody's just going and they're being sheep and they're following which cause they think fits their agenda. My agenda is just to have a better life. And I don't see how all these conspiracy theories and going with this and fighting and arguing is going to make anyone's lives better. You know, policing in African American communities compared to white communities, or you can even put it policing in rich communities compared to, impoverished communities, is completely different. It's react, then ask questions sometimes after an incident. I've been on the end of that on several occasions. And I know it was because I was black and the people around me who were white didn't even get approached. But I try not to let that affect me as a person, because I knew it would happen, and I know it's going to happen again. It's an ongoing trend. It just doesn't stop. And people won't understand that because they're not black and you can't understand it. Yeah, you can hear a million stories about this, but you still would never know because it hasn't happened to you to the extent that it's happened to black people in this country. And it's just ridiculous that we have to, and I'm talking us as a whole in the country, can't grasp the fact that everything that's happened over the years is not right. Yeah, you can justify and say, oh, well, if he would have listened, or if she would have listened, or if he would have complied. The fact of the matter is, no one should have lost their life. That's the bottom line. It's not, we're trying to put black people over any other race in this country. We're just trying to get the point across that we should be treated the same as everybody else. We've been on the short end of the stick for too long. And we have to realize that and make those changes that's necessary. But we also need the so-called politicians that's on our side to make those changes in our community for us also. I go into the black community, I don't see the things that I see in other areas. Shit, you can go into any community, you can go in West Philly, North Philly, Southwest Philly. You don't see 900 Wawas like you see in Delaware County, or you see up in the greater Northeast. Where's those companies that has so much job growth and potential and does good things for their employees? How come none of those type of businesses are in the black communities? Where's the Wawas? Where are the Chick-fil-A's? Where are all those companies, the Walmarts and the Targets? Where are all those companies, those big box companies now that want to say, Black Lives Matter, but you don't have nothing in the black community to help bring that community up? Where's the Wells Fargo's and the Citizens Banks and the Banks of America? Where are all those banks at? Because when you go into black neighborhoods, you don't see none of those. You see, a check cash in place. You may see one or two banks in that area, but when you go in the bank, it's like you're walking into a prison. You got the thick bulletproof glass up, and you got the pins on a chain because, God forbid somebody walk out with a pen. It's ridiculous. And it's frustrating to see that. For my 40 years of life, I haven't seen anything change in the black community. And in my mom's lifetime, what change did she see? And God rest my father's soul, what changes did he see? What changes did my brother or my sister see? What changes are my nephews going to see? What changes are my kids going to see? And it's just really horrible that things are still the same, but people run around and they say, make America great again. When was it great for me or any African American in an impoverished neighborhood who didn't get the same opportunities and chances as everyone else? So, no, I mean, things won't be right until things change, and changes have to be made by us. We can't sit here and depend on anybody else to make changes for us, because it's not going to happen if we depend on other people. But if we make those changes ourselves and then make our lives better, make our communities better, then you'll watch and you'll see all the people jump on the bandwagon to try to come in and then act like they want to be a part of the community. You know, it should be more black businesses in our communities. We have more Chinese stores and mostly Chinese stores and the poppy shops and everything in black communities. But what do we have in black communities that are actually ran and owned by black people? What opportunities are we given? Why is it so hard for African Americans to get business loans? Why is it so hard for us to get that start, that kick we need to make our lives better? And those are things that we need to think about and take action to better. Because the way things are going now, it's not working. For how many years we depended on presidents and senators and House of Representatives and local councilmen and everyone in the community. And what did they do? They haven't done anything. We've been stagnant since African Americans been freed, since blacks have been freed from slavery. We've been stagnant. Yes, we got a foot out the door and we were free, and we got to a point where we could be self-sufficient and depend on us. But when you got close to that in certain parts of the country, it was taken away, it was destroyed, it was burned. And the same thing happens now. Everything in our community has been taken away, destroyed, and we haven't been able to recover and build up from that. And it's time that we take that in consideration and make that change and do what we need to do for each other to make our communities better. Everybody wants to join the movement. You know, everybody wants to be on board for what's the hot topic. You know, the hot topic right now is, Black Lives Matter. All these corporations and companies and everyone is jumping on Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. But give it two years from now and see where they're at. They're going to be on to the next thing, and we're still going to be stuck in the same situation that we started in, unless we do the changes ourselves and do what we need to do to better ourselves in our community. Now, I'm sorry I'm ranting, but it's just stuff that I've been holding in for so long, because I want to just bite my tongue and not say what's heavy on my heart and how I feel. But I feel like nobody's doing anything. No government official is going to do anything for us. It's just all hot air. And we need to step up and do what we need to do to better our community and make things better for our kids and our kids' future. We can sit here and we can talk the game for as long as we want and talk the game of generational wealth. But how are you going to get generational wealth if you just don't start off at a point and just create wealth for yourself, wealth to better your family, to make your living situation better? All you have to do and all we have to do is just come together and things will be better. Support each other. It's hard to say, everybody says crabs in a barrel mentality. Well, it's not like that for everyone. And just like with anything, if you see something moving and pushing and working, everybody's going to jump on because it's working. And you just don't stop because it's one person or individual that don't believe that it's going to work. You just move on and push on and go on to the next person, and you keep it moving. Because right now, this isn't it. The way our communities are in this country isn't it. Living vicariously through other people that have made it isn't it. Living through rappers and living through Jay-Z and Beyonce and living through Diddy, and as long as you drink his Ciroc and everything's good, and as long as you drinking that Ace of Spade and you listening to the music where they push the lifestyles that they've earned and got mostly because of us and others, how is that benefiting anyone else? It's not. It's only making their pockets fatter, and you're still stuck in the same situation that you're in. Just people need to realize that this isn't it, and they need to figure it out. I'm still figuring it out, and I'm 40 years old. It's not going to be figured out overnight. It takes time. But hey, if I can figure it out and make things better in my life and make things better for other people around me, then I've succeeded. And hopefully I can instill those things that I've learned into my kids, into my kids' friends, into my friends, into my family, and we can keep it moving, and it just keeps growing and growing throughout. And hopefully everybody else can do the same and stop depending on these government officials, because they're not doing what needs to be done. Getting on Facebook and crying about what they're not doing, but yet you're just sitting there complaining about it. Go out and do what you need to do to make your community better. Sick of the trash? Go out in your community and pick the trash up. Sick of the crime? Sick of everything that's going on? Then go out in your community and do what you need to do to make those things go away. It's not going to be an overnight change, but slowly you can make that change. Why run off to other communities because your community isn't up to the standard that you want it to be? Try and make that change. Try and get people to realize the way that we're living can be changed by us, and not sit there and wait for someone else to do it for us. Because we've been trapped in that situation for how long? How many decades? And what has it done? It's done nothing. So stop sitting around and waiting for that savior to come along and do what needs to get done, and you be your own savior and go out and do it yourself. It starts with yourself. I realize that, and I hope a lot of other people realize that, and we can become better and see better and more positive changes within ourselves and our communities. And we can be proud of where we live and be proud of what's going on. And once we get to that point, then you'll see all the people, all the corporations and everything else come clamoring to try to get in on what's good. And then you'll realize that you've always had what was needed to succeed. And that's it.